we discussed in the last class, and then we'll go for some of the applications and we'll prove one theorem. So earlier what we have proved is that we have proved nonlinear PDE. Okay, nonlinear PDE for which we have found the characteristic ODE also. So the nonlinear PDE is in general of this form f of first order nonlinear PDE f of du comma u comma x equal to 0. Okay, in omega, let's say, and u equal to g on gamma. Okay, gamma is the property of omega. So this is the problem given to us, and then we want to find what is the solutions corresponding to that. So what we did was we have found the characteristic ODE. So we got something called P dot and Z dot and X dot. Okay, so these are the three things we have found, and this is called characteristic ODE. And using that we can find the solution for this problem. Okay, so P dot is given this way, minus dx into minus dxf minus dzf, and z dot is tpf into P dot into B. Okay, and x dot is d. So this is what we have seen, minus dx into f minus dx f minus d minus dzf, okay, minus dzf, and then dp f dot p. And this is simply TPF. Okay, this is the characteristic ODE which we have seen. Almost similar kind of problem you might have solved in the assignments of the Charpit's method or Jacobi's method. Okay, similar kind of thing. Now, this one we have already discussed, and that last class we have also discussed we did not discuss about this one. Okay, U equal to means the initial condition or boundary condition is given to us, which we didn't discuss in the last class, but of course I discussed people on Friday. I just have a quick recap of what we did on last Friday. So what we did was, suppose I have a point x naught in gamma. Okay, x naught is a point in gamma. In that case, what we are trying to do is that we are trying to find the solution which is satisfying this condition. Okay, this condition should be satisfied. But is near. We don't know whether we can solve it for the complete gamma. But what we are trying to find is that we are trying to find. Suppose omega is here. Okay, omega is here and gamma is this one. I'm having x naught over here. Okay, suppose x naught is over here. Then what I'm trying to do is, I don't know how to solve this problem first. Okay, but I'm trying to find whether I can solve a problem which is near the x naught in a small domain, okay, near the region, and whether I can find it or not, that I want to find. So for that, what we are trying to, what is the first step we are going to do is that we are trying to solve a problem which is called flattening the boundary. Okay, flattening boundary means we are trying to find the x naught, okay, such that is very near to that we are when one last coordinate, okay, means flattening boundary means one of the coordinate is parallel to the axis. Okay, means one is going to become like 0. Suppose x naught is something like x1, x2. Okay, let's say x1 0, x2 0, etc. xn 0 is there. What I am trying to say here is that at least xn of 0 should be 0. Okay, like that x naught I am solve. If I solve that, then I will transform the problem to another domain where I can make that as 0. I will solve it in that domain or in that setup and then bring back over here. That's the idea. So that's what we are trying to do in this one. So straightening boundary. So here we are trying to our goal is to solve at least in the small region x naught near that gamma near x naught. We want to solve the problem. Okay, at least near that. So for that, what we are going to do is that we are finding a smooth mapping, okay, between this one and let's say another one. Okay, so I have mapping between here to here. Okay, so in such a way that this is going to be like O1 and R2, etc. So we are going to use the inverse mapping theorem, so that instead of solving this problem, we are trying to solve. So here the setup is U. Here I am using some transformation, so that is going to be something like P is going to be that. Okay, some pi and psi is going to exist. Okay, pi and psi is going to exist. So that is going to map between this U domain and B domain. Okay. So if U solves some problem in this domain, okay, in omega, then what is it going to solve in the V? Okay, so that is the question which we have asked, and then we answered that partially, and we have this expression. Okay, so if it is solving some setup over here, then here also it is going to solve some kind of non-linear PDE. Okay, so that we have seen in the last class, and similarly, if you have corresponding to omega, there will be some domain over here. Okay, let's say like B is the domain over here. So suppose this is omega, I can say either omega 1 or B, I call it as. Okay. Similarly, if it is gamma here, gamma is nothing but the boundary here, I call this boundary as delta. Okay, so here U equal to G means that is also going to transform over there. That is going to be that is going to form like D equal to H. So that becomes the problem reference. So instead of solving here, okay, why I'm going to solve it here is that maybe here I don't know like how to solve the problem at x naught, but in this domain maybe I can transfer that where I can find some x naught, okay, which is going to be flattened out, flattening the boundary. That is called as flattening boundary that we are going to do. Okay, so that is the main idea of that. So here now what we are going to do, okay, as the next step, suppose I transformed over here in such a way that the last coordinate is going to become 0. Okay, so now let us forget about the this one without transforming. Okay, without transforming, let's see whether we can solve this now. Okay, so first step I have given this one. So second step what we are going to do is that suppose you have some domain where x naught is there. In the x naught, the last coordinate in that x naught point is going to be 0. Okay, in such a way that I can find. Okay, here x naught for all the coordinate. Okay, so I have x naught. If I take this x naught, nearby that all the points having the last coordinate, x naught, x1, x2, xn, xn. For example, if you take a two-dimensional domain, okay, in two-dimensional domain, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to take something like this. Okay, suppose this is my domain. I'm having my x naught over here, such that in this problem, okay, you can see that it has two coordinates, x and y are there. Y is almost 0 here. Okay, y is not changing because it's almost like constant varies over here. So y is almost 0. Such a domain we are going to assume, and then we are going to solve. That's the aim of this compatibility condition. So there what we are going to do is that we are going to assume some conditions like P of 0 equal to P naught, okay, and Z of 0 equal to Z naught, and Y of 0, sorry, X of 0 equal to X naught. Okay, so these are the conditions I am going to use. So in this case, what I can do, I have to find a curve which passes through. Okay, I got to find some curve. I got to find some curve which passes through this section. Suppose this is my x naught. I got to find the curve. Okay. So it passes through x naught, and also it should satisfy that z of 0 equal to, because this condition should be satisfied. Okay, g should be satisfied. So z of naught should be equal to g of x naught should be also. So these two conditions should be satisfied. So according to that, we will find a solution for this ODE. For that, once again, we have solved. Okay, what do we require for P0? What is the condition we require that we have discussed? So U of the n last coordinate is 0. Okay, so U of x1, x2, xn, xn minus 1 is going to become like G of x1, x2, xn minus 1 is going to be formed. Okay, because it is under gamma, so it is going to be near x naught. Okay, I'm not claiming everywhere. At least near x naught it should be there, because we are not trying to find the solution for all the places over there where it is going to satisfy. At least near the boundary, at least near the x naught, small boundary, small region, if it is satisfied, that is fine for. Okay, using that I can just build up, construct a solution for the entire region. So if we differentiate, okay, so what is the condition? So we call U of xi x naught is there. So if we differentiate, we can find that, okay, with respect to xi, then you can find that dou U of xi is going to be like dou g of xi. Okay, and also it should satisfy this. We should also insist another condition, satisfy this condition. So pi of 0, okay. Dou u of dou xi, you know, dou u of uxi is nothing but p, right? Uxi is nothing but pi. Okay, so pi is nothing but, from the equation number 8, you can say that it is going to be dou g by dou x. That should be satisfied. Also, it should satisfy this condition also. Okay, it should satisfy the condition like, so pi should be equal to pi at 0, not everywhere, pi at 0 near the boundary. It should be equal to g of x dou g by dou xi by dou g by dou xi at 0 near the point 0. Okay, dou g of x naught by dou xi, and then I need to have this condition f of p naught comma z naught comma u naught z naught comma x naught, okay, equal to 0. So these two conditions should be set. This condition corresponding to this should also. So in that case, what I can do is that this is the condition I require for the compatibility condition. Okay, so you can see that this P naught P, there's a mistake which I told already here. So there are 2n plus 1 conditions are there. Okay, here n condition, here 1 condition, and here n condition. So 2n plus 1 conditions are there to verify this one. So if it is satisfying this one, okay, this 2n plus 1 variable, if it is satisfying this equation, okay, this system, then we say that this is a this triple P naught comma z naught comma x naught. Okay, this triple P naught comma z naught comma x naught. We call this triple as admissible. Okay, we call that as admissible. And this z naught is uniquely determined. This z naught can be uniquely determined by the boundary conditions of our choice of x naught. Still, we don't know whether the P naught, even if it is satisfying, P naught satisfying this equation, it may exist or it may not exist. That we'll see it in due course. Okay, and it may have unique solution or it may not be having unique solution. That also we can see. Okay, so next step is that. Okay, next step is we are going to do. Suppose it is non-characteristic data. Okay, so far because in the characteristic, now we are going to see non-characteristic boundary data that we are going to see. Okay, so what does it mean? We'll see. So again, we are going to do the same thing. X naught is lying in the plane comma in the comma. Okay, such that x naught is equal to 0. Except last coordinate is equal to 0. And we found this relation P naught of x naught comma x naught is satisfying this relation. That also we found. Okay, so then what we are going to do next step is that we are going to construct a solution. Not everywhere, at least near that x naught, we are going to construct a solution. How do we construct that? We are going to see. Okay, so if we solve this, for this we need to, so that is task 1. Then second task is that we are going to solve this ODE, not only these initial points, P naught, Z naught, x naught, but some perturbation. Nearby that also we are going to solve that, so that we are going to get not only at x naught, we are going to get some values nearby that also, so that you can find the conditions everywhere. I mean, you can find the solutions everywhere here, and you can weave it together. Okay, at the end, and you can perturb this x naught comma P naught comma Z naught comma x naught in such that you can find the local solutions over here, and then you can stitch it or you can weave it together, so that you can find the same thing for everyone. Okay, that's what we are going to do. So that also we have discussed already. Okay, so this is the equation given. Okay, the equation is given, but we are now trying to transform it to another coordinate called y1 y2 yn minus 1. Okay, that is for a given point y1 y2 yn minus 1 comma 0 in comma. This is very close to y. Okay, so means I am going to take a point over here very close to x naught. Okay, here I am going to take a point y, which is having n minus 1 coordinate y1 y2 yn minus 1 non-zero coordinates. Last coordinate is become 0 because this is almost near to them. Okay, and we solve this ODE characteristic ODE P dot Z dot and x dot with this initial condition P of 0 Z of 0 and x of 0. Okay, so now what is the condition we require that we are going to see? That is one theorem. We are going to find some conditions for local solution. Okay, when the local solution is going to exist, that we are trying to see. And also we have discussed already in the last class. So what we need to find is that, as I said, we need to map it over here. Okay, some domain we need to map it. So what we need to find is that we got to find a Q in such a way that this Q of x naught should be equal to P naught. Okay, this Q of x naught equal to P naught is going to be there. What is this Q we got to find? And second thing is that we have to find a similar kind of triple. So here we have to find a triple like P naught, Z naught, and x naught. Similarly, the nearby local solution, you need to find a triple in such a way that is called Q of y, G of y, and y. Okay, that is called that is admissible. Okay, that means what I am going to do, I am going to find a Q of y, G of y, and y. Okay, nearby that x naught in such a way that is going to satisfy this similar condition. So in the place of P, I have Q. So this is going to become like Qi, okay, or Qi of y, which is same as dou G by dou Xi of y. Okay. Similarly, f of Q of y, f of G of y, y is going to be. So this is the things which I have, which I need to satisfy. So now what I have the conditions for that. Okay, so when that is going to exist, that we are going to see. So there is a unique solution, okay, for this problem for non-characteristic boundary condition. There is a unique solution Q dot. So when this Q is going to exist, that condition we are going to see. There is a unique solution of Q of x naught equal to P naught, and this condition Q of Qa of y equal to dou G by dou Xi of y, and f of Qi Gy y equal to 0 for all y sufficiently close to x naught. When that is going to exist, so if in this problem, okay, so it has n coordinates are there, right? So if you take the dou f by dou pn, means with respect to the last coordinate, okay, and its derivative dou f by dou pn should be not equal to 0 at the point p naught comma x naught comma x naught. Okay, so in that case we say that this is a this solution is going to exist. Okay, in that case I can say that there is a unique solution. Okay, so if such things are existing, suppose such p naught is not comma x naught is existing, then we say that this triple is called as non-characteristic. Okay, that triple we call as non-characteristic. If this condition 14 is called. Okay. Now what we are going to see, we have proved this theorem. I am not going to repeat that again. So this theorem also we have proved. So we'll go for the next theorem. Okay. So the proof of the theorem I have already explained last class. You can go through that. Okay. Now let's go for the next one. Okay. So the question is, did we achieve our goal? No, we didn't achieve the goal because we used the characteristic only to build a solution of 1 and 2 at least near gamma. That we did or not, that is not done exactly. Okay, so we are going to move forward for that. So what we are going to do, we can use this concept. Okay, suppose you have a x naught nearby that, you can straighten the boundary. If it's not straightened, okay, you can transform it to a domain, straighten it over there, such that you find a pi of psi in such that transform it into the new domain, straighten it over there, solve it over there. If it is solvable over there, solve it in that setup, bring back again over here. Okay, and then you use its non-characteristic conditions to achieve this. So these are the things we are going to use. So again, same thing. So select a point x naught in gamma, and assume that it is near that it is flat, lying the plane x naught equal to 0, and choose the p naught is not comma x naught, which is admissible boundary data, and this is non-characteristic also. Okay, so these are the conditions we have. Then what we are going to do is that by the above theorem, okay, means by previous theorem, what we can do is that we can find a Q such that P naught equal to Q of x naught is satisfied. Okay, and this Q of y, G of y is admissible for all y sufficiently close to x naught. So in that case, what we can do is that we can just subject to the series and condition, we can find at least local solution we are trying to find, and then we are going to stitch it together and we will solve that problem. Now what I am going to do next step is that I am going to use the whatever I found in the local solution, and we are going to generate a existence theorem for that. Okay, and once the existence theorem is there, then only you can go for solving the problem. Okay, unless there is an existence, you cannot say whether I can solve the problem or not. That may be the case for whatever you are studying in the ODE course also. Okay, first you need to know whether the existence is there or not. If it is existence, then only you can go for finding the solution. If it is not going to exist, then there is no point in wasting your time of keeping all the trial solutions and then trying to find the answer. Okay, so that's what we are going to do here. So now I'm going to define, I'm going to prove local existence theorem, and we will solve some of the problems, some of the applications also we'll see. So now what I'm having, I'm defining a new notations now. So the notations are as follows. So P of S, okay, P of S is nothing but P of y comma S, which is nothing but P of y1, y2, etc., yn minus 1, okay, comma S. The previous one I have used 0. Now I am going to use, instead of 0, I am going to put S. Okay, the previous one I used P naught, so now I am going to use PS in that case. Okay, almost similar kind of things, because In y there are only n minus 1 coordinates are there. Okay, y is having only y2, yn minus 1. Last coordinate is going to be 0. So in that place, I'm going to put p of s and y of s. So yes, I'm going to give. Okay, so because I'm going to solve this with that initial condition, whatever I have. Same thing. Okay, set of s, same setup. Okay, wherever we have this one, use the same set of y comma s, set of y1 comma etc. Similar for x of s. Okay, same kind of. So this notation we are going to use, and then we are going to solve that characteristic ODE nearby that problem, and we'll obtain the solution from it. Okay. So what we are going to do, we are going to solve this problem. We are going to prove this theorem. So this is called local invertibility. Okay. Suppose we have a non-characteristic condition. Means from the previous theorem we had a condition, right? So that condition is nothing but Fpn of P naught comma Z naught comma X naught, which is not equal to 0. Suppose this condition is given. Okay. Then what we are guaranteeing is that for the problem, whatever we have, we are trying to solve that first order quantity ODE. What we have is that then there exists. Okay, there are many things going to exist. One is that an open interval. Okay, an open interval I is going to exist, which is subset of R. Okay, such that 0 is in the I. Okay, 0 is in I. I is subset of R. 0 is in I is going to exist. Okay, and there exists a neighborhood x naught in comma. Okay, x naught in comma such that x naught in comma. Okay, such that. So this is going to exist. Okay, xn in R minus 1 is there. Okay, xn x naught belongs to gamma subset of R and minus 1, and that condition there is a neighborhood. Okay, V of x naught. That is a neighborhood V of x naught. So small neighborhood, as I said. Okay, some small x naught is here. Some small v is going to exist such that x belongs to b. Okay, for such that for each x in b. Okay, for each x in b. Okay, what I have is there is a unique s in I. That will be a unique s in I. Okay, and y in w. Okay, where y w is nothing but yeah, correct. Yeah, that is a neighborhood that is also there. Okay, so first condition is that I subset of R is that 0 belongs to I, and you can find a neighborhood x naught for x naught belongs to gamma. You can find a neighborhood, let's say W. Okay, which is going to be there, which is subset of R power n, because I plotted the boundary here. That is the idea I'm going to use, plotting the boundary so that you will get neighborhood of W of subset of x naught, subset of R and minus 1, means the last coordinate is going to become like a 0 form. Okay, so that's what we are going to do, and then that is a neighborhood V of x dot. Okay, in Rn such that for each x in V, okay, it is not going to be flattened over here, but here I have a curve. Okay, so here what I am going to take, I am going to take a type W of x naught, which is the neighborhood of Rn minus 1. Okay, means I am removing, means flattening the last boundary. Okay, so that's the W is going to do. But V is not doing that. Okay, it can be somewhere here. Okay, means this is going to be some not flattening domain is going to be. Okay, so in W it is going to be flattened domain. V is not flattened. Such that this S belongs to I. Okay, S is belongs to I, and Y is belongs to W. Okay, there will be a unique S and Y in I and W, such that your X is going to be, okay, X is going to be X of Y comma S is going to be. Okay. And also we can claim that the mapping X equal to X equal to S, okay, and Y both are going to be a C2 function. Okay, both are going to be a C2 function. That was okay. So let us prove that one by one. So first step, suppose we have X of 0 equal to X naught comma 0 equal to X naught. Okay, that I am going to denote as X naught. Then by inverse mapping theorem, okay, we can obtain that this result will be that if by inverse mapping theorem we can obtain that what we can obtain is that determinant of, okay, determinant of d of determinant dx of x naught comma 0 not equal to 0. If it is there, okay, then by inverse mapping theorem you can say that the mapping is going to exist. Which mapping is going to exist between this x and y. Okay, so that is the thing. But if this condition is going to satisfy, then what I am going to get is that I am going to get x of y comma 0, which is going to be y comma 0 is going to means I can map x of y comma 0. I have a domain. Okay, so from that domain I can just map it over for y belongs to gamma. Okay, remember that y is in W. Okay, it means one dimension is less. Y belongs to gamma. So also. What we have is that for I equal to 1 to n minus 1, what I have is that, so in this case I have dou xj by dou yi, okay, dou xj of dou y at x naught, okay, is going to become like del ij, okay, I equal to 1 to n minus 1 and 0, okay, if j equal to j equal to and j equal to n. Okay, in this case I am equal to n. Okay, so dou xi by dou y means I am trying to find instead of x naught, x1, x2, xn minus 1 only I am going to make it because I am not going to do anything big task over here. Okay, then we have that characteristic ODE. In characteristic ODE we have a condition that three conditions are there. So if I take the third condition, so first condition is for P naught. Okay. First condition is P naught, second condition is M naught, and third condition is X naught. So X naught is going to be TP of F. Okay, so that condition I have. Now for this problem, what I have is that this is going to satisfy this condition. Okay, so dou xi, dou xi, dou s. Okay, that is going to be satisfying this condition. Okay, at x naught comma 0. So at x naught comma 0, it is going to be satisfied. What I have. So it is going to be TP of f of P naught comma, okay, P naught comma Z naught comma x naught is going to be. So this is going to be existing at that place, because what we have is we are satisfying, we are solving this non-linear PDE. So this condition should be satisfied at that place. If you do x, because it should satisfy this condition. Okay, at x naught comma 0. Okay. Now what I have, next step, we are going to climb step by step. Okay. So that means what I have. So what is this condition is saying is that determinant of dx of x naught comma 0 not equal to 0, that we have to see. Okay. So what is the condition required for that? That we are going to see. Okay. So dx of first we need to see what is this matrix. Okay. What is dx of x naught comma 0? We got to find. So if I need to find that, then I got to find what is the mapping between these two. So that is nothing but dou xj by dou y, okay, dx of x naught comma 0, is nothing but dou xj by dou y, and etc. is going to come. So in that case, delta ij is nothing but I equal to when I equal to j, it is going to be 1, otherwise it is going to be 0. So in that case, once again, what I am going to get is that I am going to get 1 over here, remaining all 0, because delta ij, okay, remaining all 0. But dou xi by dou s means corresponding to the last coordinate. Okay, what I need to satisfy is that because P of s is there, but the last coordinate what I have to have, I should satisfy this one dou xi by dou x of x naught comma 0, because my new domain is now PS, ZS, and XS. There it should satisfy this condition. So that is going to become a TP of, okay, means with respect to the last coordinate I have satisfied. Okay, so FP1 of x naught comma z naught comma P naught comma z naught comma x naught. Okay. Similarly, 0, 1, 0, etc. is going to be there, and here if FP2 is going to come, etc. is going to come. Okay, last coordinate is going to be 0 because dou x by dou y is 0 over there, so everything is going to become 0 here. Okay, whereas with respect to the s coordinate, that is going to become like FPN of P naught comma Z naught comma x naught is going to come. Okay. So if you take the determinant of this one, okay, if you take the determinant, this is going to become like 1 into 1 into 1 into etc. Pn into P naught comma Z naught comma x naught is there. So that means what we are going to rely on is that remaining r is going to become 1. Only thing we are going to rely on is that this condition. Okay, so if this condition is not equal to 0, then you are going to get the solution. Okay, that follows because we have that condition already. The condition is given to us. The condition is given to us. P naught comma Z naught comma FPN of P naught comma Z naught comma X naught is given. Therefore, what you are going to get, you are going to get this. Everything is going to satisfy this. Okay. So from this one, you can just see that. What you can see is that, see, this is not equal to 0, then you can see that the mapping is going to exist. So if the mapping is exist, then by this by the inverse mapping theorem, you can just find this x and y, x of y of 0 equal to y comma 0. That means what? Y of 0 is there, y belongs to comma. Okay, if y belongs to comma, y of 0 is there. That means what? I have found the neighborhood w of x naught. Okay. Also, it is giving that 0 belongs to I. Okay. So from this one, you can solve that problem and you can find the answer for this x of y comma s also. Okay? That also you can find. So that's what we are saying. That is the remarks I am giving. Okay, as a remark I give. So for the above theorem, what we can say is that we can solve, we can locally, uniquely solve the equation. Okay, we can solve uniquely and locally only in that neighborhood only we can solve. Not for everywhere, only at the local place we can solve. Now we are going to define for each x in omega. What you can define is that you can define u of x is nothing but z of y of x comma s of x. Okay, what I am going to do. So since you can solve it uniquely for each x in omega. Okay, for each x in omega, what you can do is that you can just solve the problem locally. Okay, for example, if I take the x in x here, locally I can solve the same problem and then I can append that relation. Now what we are going to do, we are going to define, okay, we are going to redefine that in such a way that your u of x is going to become like, usually it is z, u of x is going to become like, I just put z of x only in the earlier case. Now what I am going to do, instead of that, I am going to put it like z of y of x comma s of x I am going to do. Okay, because y is a function of, because of this one, x of y comma 0 equal to y of 0 is that, therefore I can, using the inverse mapping theorem, again I can find a inverse relation between that. So y of y comma 0 is that, therefore y can be written in terms of x. Okay, because it's just simply see that this is flattening boundary only. So if I can transform from r power n to r power n minus 1, then similarly I can transform from r power n minus 1 to r. So same thing we are going to do. Okay, u of x equal to z of y of x comma s of x is going to be there. Similarly, p of x is going to be p of y of x comma s of x. Now what we are going to do is that, if such things are there, because now I solve only for x naught belongs to gamma, if I can find the relations of this kind, okay, solving this local invertibility, I can take for each x naught over here, okay, I can take each x naught over here. So suppose it is not flattened boundary, I can take each x naught over here and I can transform the problem to a new domain where I can flatten it, solve it over here and bring it over back to the original domain. Okay, that's the inverse mapping theorem is going to help us. Okay, so means for each x naught, I can solve that locally. I can solve locally. I can solve locally. I can solve like this. I can keep on solving. Okay, and I can weave it together. Means I can stitch everything together and then like I can weaving means like you just make intersection of these two. Okay, take these two and take another two here and weave it together. Okay, so then you can solve the. Weave together the solution, obtain the solution. Using that you can obtain the solution. Okay, this is the idea. We'll solve one more problem, one more theorem. So that is going to give you the, this is a little lengthy theorem. So we'll prove this one and then we'll solve some more problems if possible. So what we are having is that we have theorem. This is called local extension theorem. Okay, so this is the theorem which is going to also, of course, you can solve the Charpit's method, etc. Okay, Charpit's method you can solve, Jacobi's method you can solve, or even that's the earlier cases we can solve the characteristic pooling. For example, Burger's equation and all we can solve. Okay, the characteristic pooling. So there also we can see some kind of some sort of existence theorem we can see. Okay, some z of x naught. For two-dimensional case, mostly we have solved. Okay, like 2D case we have taken and then we solve most of the time. Like rho g of x naught comma y naught comma z naught we can solve some of the problem. Now we are going to solve it for a non-linear, okay, fully non-linear PDE which we are focused on. Okay, because we didn't solve that fully non-linear case before. So that's what we are trying. Of course, this theorem is applicable for linear PDE, first order linear PDE, as well as first order quasi-linear PDE. So what this theorem is going to say, the local existence theorem, the function which we define, okay, the function u of x equal to u of or z of y of x, comma s of x, okay, is C2, okay, that we need to claim, okay, is C2, this u is C2, u is a C2 function, okay, which is twice continuously differentiable, and solves the PDE, okay, solves the PDE f du of x, u of x from x equal to 0, with the boundary condition u of x equal to g of x. So with all these setup, whatever we did, using that we are going to prove that local existence theorem. So as I mentioned earlier, we are defining this P of s and Z of s and X of s as we did in the earlier one. Okay. Then we can solve that. So suppose if it's a y belongs to gamma, okay, y is in gamma. So I have gamma here. Okay. So I have omega here and gamma is this boundary. So I take y belongs to gamma. Okay. If y belongs to gamma, I can solve this by the local invertibility theorem, okay, local solutions theorem. What you can do is that you can solve this, you can solve the characteristic ODE, is the ODE which we have p dot comma z dot comma x dot. Okay, so those characteristic ODE, and you can solve that. So p of s, s of s, and x of s is going to be there. Okay, so this is going to obtain from. So what we are going to claim is that, so claim only is already done, because we, from the previous theorem we can prove that. Okay, we prove that. Now second claim, we are going to claim that there exists a f, okay, such that f of y comma s is going to be capital F of p of y comma s, set of y comma s, and x of y comma s equal to 0 for s belongs to R. Okay, where s belongs to R. I'm not going to claim everywhere, but I'm going to claim, suppose I choose some x naught, okay, that x naught, here that x naught I'm going to do. Okay, sufficiently close to x naught, that's the place I'm going to. Okay, y is sufficiently close to x naught, at that place only I'm going to. Okay, so let us see that. So by the compatibility condition, okay, by the compatibility condition, what I have is that I have f of y comma 0, if I put f of y comma 0 is going to be capital F of P of y comma 0, okay, and Z of y comma 0 and X of y comma 0 is there. Okay. Now if I find what is my dou f by dou s, okay, dou f by dou s is going to be, okay, I have to differentiate with respect to s. Everywhere s is going to be there. Wherever I have 0 here, so s is going to be, because f of y comma s is going to be f of P of y comma s, z of y comma s, and x of y comma s is there. Okay. So dou f by dou s is going to become like, I have many variables are there. Okay, so I have summation j equal to 1 to n dou f by dou pi first. Okay, dou f by dou pi into I have to differentiate with respect to the variable. So I put dou p, okay, this is j, so dou pj into pj dot is there. Okay, pj dot is there. Now what I have, next variable dou f by dou z, okay, dou f by dou z into z dot is there. Okay, so here dot is with respect to variable s. Okay, z dot I mean like dou is dz by dz. Okay. Similarly, I have summation j equal to 1 to n dou f by dou xj into xj dot. Okay. So these are the variables. So now what I have, I can use this condition because I know what is pj, p dot. P dot is nothing but minus dxf minus dzf. Okay, this is tp dot p, and this is simply d. So I'm going to use that condition over here. So if I use that, what I have, pj dot, I'm going to replace that. Okay, pj dot is going to become like, I have dou f by dou xj is going to come. Okay, and into p dou f by dou bj into, I'm going to use the condition. Okay, p dot is going to be. So let's see that condition once again. I just show that condition over here, which we have in the first slide. Okay. Okay, ds into p. Okay, dx into f minus dz into f p is there. Okay, so that's the condition we have. That we are going to use it over here. Okay, p dot is going to be, that is the characteristic ODE. So dou f by, I'm going to use that. So for each variable I'm going to use, so from summation j equal to 1 to n, dou f by dou pj into, I'm going to use that. So minus dou f by dou x, okay, j minus dou x, dou f by dou z into p j z. Okay, so that's the condition. Pj dot. Then similarly, I use the second one. So that is going to be dou f by dou z into z dot is d3 is there. So dou f by I don't use that. Okay, summation. Okay, with respect to dot product is there. Therefore, this is going to be known summation j equal to 1 to n dou f by dou pj. Okay, dou f by dou pj into dot product is there. That is going to be pj is there. Okay. Plus, I have similarly the x dot I am going to replace summation j equal to 1 to n dou f by dou xj into, I am going to use this one. So dou f by dou pj is going. So you can see that these two are same. Okay, this one dou f by dou pj, dou f by dou z. So same thing, dou f by dou z and dou f by dou pj is there. Summation is there. So say this is summation and pj is there. Pj is there. Therefore, these two gets cancelled. Okay. And this is once again minus dou f by dou pj, dou f by dou xj. Same thing here, dou f by dou pj, dou f by dou xj. Therefore, this is going to be. Okay. So that means what I have my fs is 0. Okay. Fs is 0 and I have already f of y comma 0 is 0. F is 0 on gamma also. Okay. So both of the conditions are there. So in that case, what I can say is that from these two, what I can is that it is already 0 on the boundary. Therefore, this is df by ds is also 0. Okay. If fs is 0, that means what is f? F is constant, right? With respect to s coordinate, it is 0. Okay. Therefore, this is going to be constant over. It is going to be constant. Okay. I have that characteristic. So that means, but I already given that f equal to 0 on comma. Therefore, this c you can eliminate. C is going to become a 0. Okay. If c is become 0, then you can say that f is identically 0. So fs of y comma s is equal to 0, and f of y comma 0 is there. Therefore, what you can claim is that you can claim that f of y comma s is 0 completely. Okay. So claim number 3. Okay. So, if that is there, then what you can is that therefore the local invertibility we have f of p of x comma u of x comma x equal to 0 is there. Okay. So now to prove the theorem, what we need to claim is that it is enough to prove this one. P of x equal to du of x only you have to claim, because now our p is little bit different. What is our p? P is nothing but I have reconstructed p of s equal to p of y comma s is there. Therefore my p is a little bit different whatever we had earlier. So therefore I have to claim this one. If I claim this one, then my job is done. Okay, only part I have to claim is that p of x equal to du of x I have to claim. Now second one, so claim 3. So claim 3, what I am going to do is that dou z by dou y of dou z by dou s of y comma s is going to be this condition. Pj of y comma s into dou x by dou s of y comma s is going to be. This is my claiming equation number 22 is my claim 3. So by using characteristic ODE 10b and 10c is to 10b and 10c, this claim immediately follows, because dou z by dou y is nothing but tp dot p is there. Okay, so if I take the summation over here, that is nothing but the same thing, almost whatever we did over here. So summation dou p by dou pj by dou y into p is going to be there. What is p? P is going to be dou x j by dou s. Okay, that is nothing but my p in this problem. Therefore, that is also done. Okay, that I don't have to say. Okay, this claim will follow immediately if I prove that p of x equal to d of x. Okay, so if it is enough to prove this one, if the proof is done, then this is going to follow immediately. Claim 3 is going to follow immediately. Okay. Okay. So now what we are left with is that we are left with only proving that p of x equal to du of x. That's the only thing we are left with, that we are going to do. Now what is dou z by dou y of y comma s, which is going to be tau pj. So previous one, okay, suppose that p of x equal to d of x is you got proof, okay, suppose you assume that that is true, then what we are going to do is that we are going to prove that claim 4. I think after that we'll prove the claim 5, okay. Claim 5 we are going to prove, okay. So how we are in claim 5 only we are going to prove that. For that we need some of the settings required, so that we are going to, okay. Suppose this p of x equal to d of x is that, then 22 is going to apply easily, okay. Now from 22 I'm going to do that for so z of y comma s is that, okay. What is our z of y comma s? Z of y comma s is nothing but z of, okay, z of y comma s is going to be same thing, some similar to this one, okay. But I have that p of s, z of s is going to be there, okay. Z of y comma s is going to be p of y comma sorry, that is z. Okay, z of y comma s is going to be there. That I differentiate with respect to yi. Okay, if I differentiate with respect to yi, what I am going to get is that I am going to get z is nothing but u. Okay, so if I differentiate with respect to yi, that is going to be having two things are there. Okay, one is with respect to x is there, so you got to use the chain rule. So if I use the chain rule, what I am claiming is that dou z by dou y I is going to be summation pj into, this is with respect to y with respect to x I do, okay, and then I do with respect to y I have to do. So chain rule I am using, okay. Using the chain rule you can get this, okay. Now for fix y belongs to gamma I equal to 1 to n minus 1, and then set this one, okay, ri of s, okay, ri of s equal to, you set this one, subtract this two, okay, dou z by dou s, dou z by dou y minus summation pj dou x j by dou y, okay. So subtract these two, and then what we are going to claim is that we are going to claim that ri of s equal to 0. If I claim that, this is going to be right. Okay, this I got to prove. This I got to prove. Okay, prove this one. So in order to prove this one, I am going to say that ri of s equal to 0. I got to prove. Okay, if I claim that, then that is true. So for that, what I am going to use, I am going to use the non-characteristic data once again. Okay, non-characteristic data. What I have, if I put ri of 0 is going to tell me. So if you remember this condition from the local invertibility, see that condition. See this one, okay. Qi of y equal to dou g by dou xi of y and f of qi. So same thing. This condition, okay. Condition number 9. So that what we are going to use it, okay. Using that condition, what you can claim is that you can claim that wherever you have z of y, then you put it as gy, because it should satisfy on the boundary. It should satisfy, that is nothing but dou g of xy of y is going to be there, and then for the other one qi of y is going to be there, because you have that other condition pi in pi of 0 equal to is xj and yj is therefore that is going to be there, and this condition is satisfied because of the previous theorem. Okay, so that is going to be 0. And using that boundary conditions, okay, y of 0 is going to be there, so is that yi of y0 is going to be satisfying that condition. G of xi is going to be there. So now take the derivative again. So if you take the derivative, what you are going to get? You are going to get a similar kind of setup, okay. So dou square z by dou s by dou y z, okay. You take the chain rule once again, use that, and so you take ri dot s, okay. With respect to s, you are going to do, okay. So differentiate this one with respect to s, dou z by dou y into is going to be there, okay. Differentiate that. Now once again, what you have to use this condition, okay. Xj dot s is there, okay. Use that condition. Z dot s is there, use that condition, okay. And prove that pj dot s, use that, and then simplify this. Then once again, what you are going to get is that you are going to get ri of s is going to be, if you simplify this, I am just skipping this, okay. If you simplify the same kind of logic, if you simplify that, what you are going to end up is that you are going to end up with minus dou f by dou z unto Ri of s is going to come. Okay, that's what we are going to get it. Now using that, what you are going to get, your Ri dot of s is going to be this problem. Okay. Now once again, if you solve this problem for Ri of 0, okay, Ri dot of s equal to minus fz and Ri of s. So once again, if you solve this problem, what you are going to get is that you are going to get, since Ri of 0 is 0, you are going to get once again Ri of s is going to become like completely 0. Okay, take that, solve it for this one. You are going to get log Rs etc. is going to come. Okay, minus e power fz is going to come, and that is going to be not equal to 0. So from that you can claim that since Ri of 0 is 0, it is completely 0. So we are left with only one problem now. P of x equal to du of x equal to 0. So what you have, dou u by dou xj is going to be once again differentiate with respect to the xj. You are going to have chain rule, apply the chain rule, dou z by dou s into dou s by dou xj. Okay, because z is nothing but a function of x and s is going to be there. Similarly for y, use that. Then what you are going to get, obtain, use this relation. Okay, whatever you have for dou z by dou s, use that relation, summation k equal to Tn. Okay, dou x k by dou z. Okay, dou z by dou z. You have this relation, dou z by dou s is there. Okay, use this 22 equation number 22 over there. Okay, using number 22, you get the first equality, first expression in the equality, and then dou z by dou y. Once again, use the same equality, but the differentiate with respect to y. Okay, then you get the second expression. Now simplify this. Take the summation k equal to 1Tn common, and take pk also common. You get dou x k by dou s into dou s by dou xj is there. Plus summation, one more summation is there, but this is nothing but, if you see that, this is nothing but dou x k by dou xj is going to come. But if you see dou x k by dou j, that is nothing but delta jk. Okay, only if j is going to be k, it is going to be existing, otherwise it is going to be 0. So therefore you are going to get pj. So pj is going to be dou u by dou xj. So that means px is going to be dx. Okay, so you can go through the proof once again. So there is nothing big over here.